I'll do the show intro here, and then let's have a nice little chit chat, folks.
Sounds great.
All right,
I got it.
And we are back, folks. It's the I70 and Coach Clay show on location tonight. Looking great out there. You're still on mute there, buddy.
All righty. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction there, Coach. And I see we got Tennessee Homesteader in the house tonight also.
Right on. Yeah, awesome. How you doing, Tennessee?
Little special guest action.
Yeah, I'm doing great, Coach. Hi, I70. Jealous of you, I70.
Well, even when the fishing is not very good, you're still fishing.
The best day at fishing, the worst day at fishing is better than the best day at work.
There you go.
That is true.
So before I head out, where'd you guys get the song for that intro? It's awesome. Was it from Epidemic Sound?
Nope.
Where'd you get it?
I've been using the same artist for all of my kind of videos that I've been making to kind of keep it streamlined.
I like that. That was really good.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, just to
Sorry, I like the Canadian honkers. Sorry. They were in the background. I don't know if you heard them, Pam.
No, I couldn't hear them.
There are some geese flying over every now and then.
The honkers are over I-70. That's why. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's say hello to live chat out there as well. Hello to everybody, and shout out there to Cajun LeBlanc out there saying hello, and Green Eyes as well saying cool song. All right, thank you very much. And yeah, we got some great blue wrenches out there helping us out as well. Vigilance and oh, look at that, Tetsuyami 511. Nice to see you out there, buddy. Good from all the way over there in Thailand. Great to have you in here. And yeah, who else do we got out there? I70.
Let's see. Got Stoke Jockey, PK, Tim Wanger. We got Rule 2012, Linda Kingsman, Light B 777, Free Agent, Susan Riley. Got a diverse crowd in the house. Snow Fox.
So see out there, Medieval Dark Knight, and Maria Favata. Nice name there. Deborah W is out there as well. Dream of Hive. All right. How you doing? Great to see you out there. Karen Kins is there. Panorific, that's a neat name. Local Zero, Jack Fleaser. Welcome in there, Patriot. Lots of regular names we see out there. All right, guys. Yeah, so it was a great show by Radix again. Lots of information out there. And make sure if you didn't catch the full show or any of the other shows that are on the channel here, you can always go back to the Patriot Soapbox archive channel and catch in 2-hour segments, I believe is how they're breaking them down out there. So that's another great volunteer who's doing awesome work for us out there. Yeah. It's all right. Tennessee, yeah, good to see you. I haven't talked to you in a while. And what's been new with you? I missed your show there on the weekend. We decoding any new stuff recently?
As a matter of fact, yes, I did. Not on the weekend. It was I was flying solo. Well, not completely solo because Canada Mike, your compatriot, joined me and Classy Lady and Roxy doing the Stable Geniuses show. She was out traveling yesterday. So last night I did record a new excuse me, a new decode on the. I went back to the mattresses, as the Godfathers would say. Went back to the watches and found some interesting things. And needless to say, even after I cut the video with 412, I continued digging and found some more. So,
awesome! Well, bring the info to us if you don't mind. Or are you still are you saving it for another occasion?
well, I can do the one that. I could a little bit of something.
Sure, of course. Any info from you is always awesome to hear. So,
well, I'm still adding some stuff to it. And then I even went off on another tangent on via the coordinates after working with another couple of anons that we've been bouncing back and forth ideas and thoughts. And interestingly enough, they're panning out in another direction, again, based on the watches. There's so much on those watches, it's not even funny. But it's up to you guys if you want to do that now or later on the show time. Don't want to chew up all your whatever you had planned. I'm here as an invite from I70, so whatever you want me to do, I'll do.
yeah, I70 was a little worried that his on location hotspot wouldn't work fully for him.
Yeah, well,
Have you riding along. Well, what I would suggest here is why don't we go ahead and update the live chat or to folks that maybe just turned to the channel in the last hour here, and we'll update them with President Trump tweets.
Yeah,
and then
go for
that. We can go ahead and get some info from you, and then in the time we'll get your insights on what the president is talking about.
Sure. Well, one quick question for I70. What kind of bandwidth are you getting there? Are you at 3G, 4G, or?
I think I'm 4G LTE.
That's good. That's pretty good. You should be doing pretty good if you can maintain.
Yeah, as long as I'm not freezing, that's good, and all my batteries don't die because I'm out here. But
that's the latter. You're gonna be chewing up some juice on that phone.
Yeah. Hey, I did pull Clarion into the room. I wanted to give him a shout out real quick before we got started.
Man,
hey, thanks. Hey, guys.
How are you, Clarion? Welcome to the show.
I think the only thing that can make this more interesting is I70 sitting on a boat floating doing this.
I was going to go. Here's the boat with it. Here's the boat we use right here. I was going to go do that, but I thought that'd be a little hokey.
No, man, that would have been so cool. Not only streaming from there, but also doing the tech support, getting Clarion on board. That would have been.
Oh, you're a man of many talents, and just don't drink the water there.
There you go.
All right.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here, Clarion.
Say that again.
It's great to have you here again.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be with all you guys. Tian, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Clarion. Thank you. I hope you're having a great evening as well.
I am. I just left the office a little bit ago, and now my blood pressure's down. I'm ready to roll.
All right. Well, I'll take over the share screen here for a moment here, guys, and let's bring us up to speed on President Trump tweets. Get some info here from Q+. And let me know that you can see the screen there, okay?
Yep, you're good to go.
All right. Looks like President Trump was up here quite early, working at 3:46 a.m. And he tweets out here also, there are, in quotes, no high crimes and misdemeanors. In quotes, no collusion, no conspiracy, no obstruction. In all quotes here, all the crimes are on the other side. And that's what the Dems should be looking at. But they won't. Nevertheless, tables are turning. Sorry, I think that was a two-part one. The first part of it here. In quotes here, Democratic Texas Congressman Al Green says impeachment is the only thing that can prevent President Trump for re-election in 2020 at OANN. In other words, Dems can't win the election fairly. You can't impeach a president for creating the best economy in our country's history. Well, what do you guys think of that?
It is just amazing that we are, Al Green, I caught that early this morning. And so he's pointing out that that's the only way we can get President Trump out of any 2020 footing is to impeach.
Is that the singer, Al Green? Oh, sorry, I stepped over you.
No, it's not the singer. Although I think he should be in the same place that Al Green, the singer, is. Oops, did I say that out loud?
Congressman Green. And it pains me to say that he's from Texas. It really is something amazing. But so all they want to do is reverse engineer President Trump into impeachment.
Just me that's getting that roboting, or?
No, I'm getting it too.
Okay.
He's roboting.
Crimes are technical. It's not a lot term. Fairly,
Clarion, you might have to move to a little bit clearer spot there for your internet. You're coming in pretty bad, roboty.
I moved him out for a second. I'll tell him here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, if he just left his office, he's probably traveling and he's moving through
Yeah, could be.
semi-dead spots.
Is that any better?
Not really, but just hold tight for a second. I imagine you're traveling, right?
Yeah. And my phone's been been under attack.
That one sounded okay, but it kind of fades in and out. Just hold tight. We'll read through these. If you have something good, just speak up, buddy. We'll try it then.
It seems to me that we're kind of in this holding pattern right now where they're letting the people expose themselves even more clearly here in terms of being the enemy before we move forward with some of this, next info. President's been talking about now, it's been a couple of weeks. When was it that the Mueller report came out? Q hasn't been really posting that much, so it's kind of for me. It seems we're in this in a period now again of strategic patience as the plan moves forward.
Okay, that's a $10 fine for using that term. Get the $1 cuss word fine. That's an Obama $10 fine.
Which
holding pattern, right?
The strategic patience. Slap, slap, slap. The next thing I hear out of you is better not be, yes, we can.
That's funny.
If. Chuso. Anyone?
Oh, okay. You're not going to live that one down.
All right. Well, moving forward here, folks, to the next one here, pulling it up larger for you. Came in at 4:08 a.m. President Trump tweets out here, the United States has been losing for many years $600 to $800 billion a year on trade. With China, we lose $500 billion. Sorry, we're not going to be doing that anymore. And at the same time here, I'm just going to flip over to my Twitter page here, where I've got a reply from Canadian researcher here, Amazing Polly, who says, soon your tweets will only get seen by people who hate you. Everyone who likes you is getting banned. That's a pretty good quote. But yeah, the trade, the stuff, I think that's going to be very important in the next coming years as well, as the plan moves forward. And, the President Trump really shapes the world in terms of your economy moving, so far forward that everyone else is going to have to start following, if that makes sense. I mean, right now, my prime minister has been shaming ourselves on the world stage to the fact where we're now losing trade on many fronts. And now we have China, who again is has arrested and is holding Canadians in jail, and our prime minister is not even talking about it. So,
Yeah, what's that place that's got your trash? You better watch out.
Here we are.
Sneak up and
we have
attack.
our prime minister spouting out about carbon tax and all this jazz, and meanwhile, on Earth Day, he flies across the country to Tofino just so he can go surfing. And at the same time, for the last few years, we've been shipping a bunch of our garbage to the Philippines. So yeah, they've stated that they're going to go to war to us if we don't take our garbage back.
Yep.
That's just getting foolish up here. So
he's the real beauty. Can you hear me?
About
2 by 5.
You're 2 to 1 by 5.
Hey,
Yeah.
Clarion, I think Trudeau is thinking he's living the life of the, remember Mel Brooks, The Meaning of Life? It's good. I mean, sorry, the
Good to
History
be
of
the
World.
king.
No, History of the World Part 2. Yeah, it's good to be king.
Good to be the king.
It's good to be the king.
I'll just stuff to share there for a moment. I don't know if you guys caught it. Probably not, but we had the equivalent of the press dinner up here the other night for all the Canadian press, and they do the exact same type of thing. So Prime Minister Trudeau gets up there for his bit, which was, I guess, about 15 minutes long, and he just completely made an ass of himself again. He basically talked about all of his scandals and made fun of them. And it just did really not go over well. And then the opposition leader, Andrew Scheer, got up and actually did quite a good job. Most of his jokes were actually quite, they were directly against Trudeau, who was sitting there. So he shocked the crowd a couple times where they didn't really want to laugh because it was like right there, Trudeau, right? But anyways, I should get a couple of those clips for you guys, because if you haven't watched them, they're on YouTube. But it was just a shame to see. Again, it's like watching the enemy destroy himself. Every time that he goes to do something which he thinks or his people have told him, this is going to be great, Justin, this is going to be great, he goes and just makes an ass of himself.
Yeah.
So what did the two CBC reporters have to say?
I didn't watch any of the reporters do their stuff. I just watched the clip of the 2 clips of Justin and Andrew Scheer do their kind of 10 to 15 minute bit.
Sorry, you missed my dig.
Oh, sorry.
Get it? What did the 2 CBC reporters?
Right.
Sorry, I'm on a roll tonight.
It was truthful. I couldn't laugh. It was so truthful.
Yeah, no, it's like it's a captured audience.
Yeah. So
I'm letting my Dizzy Kincaid come out.
I'm sure live chat and would be interested in possibly seeing some of those, just the excerpts of them, if we can get them boiled down into short, 2-minute liners for the Wednesday show.
Yeah, I could do that actually. Yeah, I could easily edit that video down. Yep.
Was there any eyebrow action?
Yeah,
No.
anything fall off?
No, he definitely had them pinned up high and clean across there. So,
it's
the unfortunate thing is, as we're right in a period right now where they're now, flipping on them. Even some of the mainstream media. It's kind of just like happening now down there with some of the mainstream media, where maybe one reporter at CNN or MSNBC says something good about President Trump. It's starting to be the opposite here, where some of the even CBC reporters are starting to report something negative against Trudeau, even though they've been shoveled the $600 million to keep them talking good for him during this election cycle. So they're starting to turn on him as well. But we're in this pattern right now where we don't really know how and if the Conservative Party is comped by the globalists. So that's where we're really kind of watching the Conservative Party closely to to make sure that, or just to establish how farly comped they are. And in that case, then obviously we are going to go through another 4 years of some hardships, unless, for example, it comes out through POTUS and the plan down there to help us out even more, to rid the globalists out of Canada. See, that's one of the problems that I have here from being in Canada is that, and you guys have talked to me about this before, is that being so close to you guys, we're on the, and you guys being the forefront of the last country basically in the world that has the ability to defend themselves with arms against these globalists. So some of these other countries in the Commonwealth, especially like ourselves, like as we know, New Zealand, Australia, and the UK, who have been not necessarily doing good things and good partnerships with your country. Here, we're on level or stage, if I can, for lack of a better term, stage 3 or 4 of globalism, and these guys really have their foot stuck to the ground here. So we really do need a good cleaning out of the globalists here. And then in that case, I really think that these lower level people, such as Mr. Trudeau, will just go away. They'll end up going over back to surf in Tofino and to ski up in Whistler, because he is a trust fund, a multimillionaire, right? So that's my take on it.
So you don't see a takedown parliament-wise and prime minister-wise as we expect here?
Well, right now the Conservatives are coming in the the mainstream media polls at 40%, and the Liberals at about 27%. So Justin has a ways to go. Now, is that on purpose polled that way? Because now they're just kind of flip-flopping, because basically what they've done to the Canadian population for numerous election cycles is vote for the lesser of the two evils. And then they go through some more globalist things, and they pass more globalist bills and more UN controls and bring in more stuff like that. Like, do people realize that we have UN flags that are waving in the wind at the U.S. Canadian border, right beside our Canadian flags? That in itself, if you look at our Constitution, is illegal.
The UN flag?
Yeah, UN flag. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. So that people don't even understand how farly they've accepted these UN controls here, per se. And all in all, it's in my opinion, it's the vying for the position in the UN Global Council that we don't have yet. And Justin would be very appropriately positioned to try to get into that position of the Global Council, especially if they were able to move forward with their plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think as I mentioned in one of the shows before, what I fear is a pinch maneuver to the U.S. The North Canadian basically flank, and the South, the Mexican, Latin American flank. Didn't Canada sign into the Migrant Pact?
Oh, yes. Yeah. The Migrant Pact. And if Justin stays in control, his plan is to bring in over 1 million just from Sudan alone in the next 3 years. He wants to bring the levels of immigration up to about 350,000 a year per year. So, and our Conservative Party is at the point right now where they're not stating what their number is. They're kind of floating in this area of, well, we don't want to necessarily, lose votes because we go one way or the other way, which isn't really showing to me very good leadership in the sense of a party platform. So I don't think that their numbers are going to be necessarily any less, especially because they haven't also stated that they would, once getting into power, if the Conservatives win, that they would leave the Migration Pact. The only national leader right now in Canada who has openly stated that he would leave the UN Migration Pact is from the People's Party of Canada. That's Maxime Bernier. Yeah.
So would that one be considered the extreme right, sort of a Le Pen type?
Nope, just a Conservative Party. He was part of the regular UPC party, United Conservatives, for many years. But then he, upon their last leadership vote per se, he went for the leader and didn't win. So then, and he at the same time has stated that he kind of had seen the globalist attachments to the Conservatives as well. So he ended up leaving the Conservative Party and started this new party, which is not necessarily a new thing. We also have two other parties here in Canada, if people aren't aware. One is called the NDP, the New Democrat Party, okay, which has full-on socialist background. And then we also obviously have an environmental national party called the Green Party, which hasn't done jack squat in the whole exception of the time. So it's kind of one of those fake things like Greenpeace and stuff like that.
So the semi-communist and the nearly communist party.
Yeah, exactly. So Maxime Bernier is he calls them the libcons because they're so alike in terms of a lot of their platforms where they really won't go this way or that way. Unfortunately, I don't know if he has enough time with only being, less than a year now to gain enough attention throughout the country to actually win this year. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Conservative leader Andrew Scheer comes from kind of one of the middle provinces here, Saskatchewan. He's from like a farming family, definitely has those types of family values and things like that. So he's a good guy. I just don't know, what his globalist connections are, or if he doesn't have any yet, will he accept any? Because that's the thing. Once you become prime minister, you then have to go through the old little queen's swearing into the oath of the queen there in her privy council, keeping her secrets.
Right, and then the aspects of the leveraging that occurs, because after all, he's got to do it for the good of the country and what is in front of him, I should say. Not that he has to give for the good of the country, but in the compromise scenario.
Yeah.
Because you guys are pretty far, as you stated yourself, pretty deep into it, into the globalism side. So that's a deeper hole to get out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then again, I've been thinking a lot about it recently, and the amount of if we're looking at your country there, how long we've been talking about over the last year and a half, of how many on both sides of your political parties, both the Republicans and the Democrats, are, for lack of a better term, dirty, and the other people that have been involved in this whole thing as bad actors within your DOJ and FBI, CIA, et cetera, et cetera. I have to think, well, how far do they have here in Canada? Because there's less population. I mean, we only have 37 million people here, roughly. So there's just so many less people to have eyes on things going on out there, or to be, you take about, those, even in any population, you take that lower or the very low young age of people, for example, to 7, 8, 9, 10 necessarily, who aren't even paying attention to anything that are on a world event type of thing or global event. And then you take that very, very old age where people aren't paying attention as well. So that narrows that amount of people who are actually, available to be awake and or paying attention. So here in with 37 million, if we take out, for example, how Q has said, there'll be 4 to 6% who will never get it. Well, let's take out that 6%, right, from there. So to me, here in Canada, they've been able to do a lot and to implement a lot and to get control of a lot because there just is not that many people paying attention to it, right? And it's you can't fault people in some respects. Some people are brainwashed, right? There are other people who are awake, but they, for how I've said before, a lot of times good people are busy doing things that they want to do. They're out farming, or they're out with their family, or they're out enjoying themselves. They're barbecuing. They're doing good things. They're not necessarily paying attention. So that's how these globalists have been able to sneak around behind us.
I think they're working their asses off to make ends meet and don't have time to do anything else because they're working 2 jobs and they're barely making things happen.
No, you got it right, straight up. No, for sure, man. And it's the same way here in Canada. We got struggling people here, and I mean, the trade thing is a perfect example. Right now, for the first time in decades, we're not the number one trading partner with the U.S. Right? That right there shows how our economy is going like this. Jobs are going like this. It all right now is going like this because of our non-leader right now and how and it's not just pissing off President Trump how he has. We've pissed off China, we've pissed off India, we've pissed off Saudi Arabia, we've pissed off
Indonesia,
Philippines or Indonesia. Who haven't we? The only people who haven't pissed off? Cuba.
Hey, this is Clarion. I dare say it's going to plan.
Yeah. Well, they've as they're losing ground in the United States with the plan being implemented in such form, they're trying to really stake hold here in a lot of respects. I think they're trying not to lose any ground here as more and more Canadians even wake up to things, right? I mean, in this last little election here in my province of Alberta, which is the oil and gas, we're like the Texas of the States, where all the oil and gas action happens here. There was many protests that were going on that were against globalist actions that were happening in terms of this corporation called the Tide Foundation. And obviously these are Rockefeller and George Soros-backed foundations, but people haven't been talking about them openly and naming things like the Rockefellers out in their tweets here in Canada until these last few months. So that shows me a respect of things moving forward in terms of the awakening.
Well, there definitely is an awakening, but this has gone on for so many years by design, and they strategically have taken advantage of the Canadians. It's rural for the most part, very accepting, solid, hardworking people, and they take advantage of that. I mean, the presumption it should be the presumption of good faith and fair dealing, as opposed to people having to come home after 10 hours of work wondering why in the hell they basically reverse patriated their gold to some foreign country. I mean, it's just so beyond the pale that these people are operating in. It just is unbelievable.
Yeah, they were that close to having 100% control. I mean, imagine if where we'd be right now. Even for my country, we would have already joined in as part of whatever her alliance would have been, HRC, in some type of nuclear war, right? It's insane. People would have been dying left, right, and center.
Hey, I brought Drunken Pinata into the roundtable discussion.
Awesome.
Hey, cool. Hey, Drunken Pinata.
Hey, everybody. How you doing tonight?
Welcome to the show. So, but I agree with you, Claire. What what do you think in respect to what we're talking about now needs to happen next? See, the problem that I think that we have is that with the amount of truth information that needs to come out worldwide, can you just bring out it all at once, or is it too much? Is that why we're going through this period of slow drip, maybe even slow drip?
Yeah, I mean, it's multifaceted, the plan. And so, just human convention, right, is, conventional wisdom is like your reaction to this. Like, my visceral reaction is, yes, let's speed this up. However, as Q early on posted, I mean, these are my words, but it's very fragile, right? In terms of it has to be laid out properly. And that's why it's taken these 2 years, 24 plus months or whatever it is, to get, places put in order, such as Patriot Soapbox, right? And 70 plus thousand followers. You got a Twitter feed. And by the way, that the Twitter feed, whoever's minding the Twitter feed is awesome. They're spot on. I think they just shut down. I forget what post it was. I think it's probably still up there. But yeah, the point is that it takes a footprint of time to make sure everything's in order and the Patriots are in order or in place, and that we have the means and the infrastructure put together to basically make sure the Great Awakening is the voice is out there. And that's what we've been doing over these past 2 years. But we're in a very interesting point in time because the plan is moving forward. And as you mentioned a few minutes ago, that things are just being set, but they're letting the deep state, just go on record with all of this patently nonsense stuff. And then things are going to start going. I think the OIG report is next. And then things are really going to coalesce after that. I'd be real interested in hearing what you guys have to think about that.
Well, if I may, while we're talking about it here, let me just bring this up on share screen here for folks, because this, I think, has a lot to do with what we're going through right now, as well as to do with throughout the whole plan. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, Clarion, if you're on your phone, but basically right now I've got the definition of game theory up here, okay? And it says, the branch of mathematics concerned with the analysis of strategies for dealing with competitive situations where the outcome of a participant's choice of actions depends critically on the actions of other participants. So that, I think, is, again, very key, thinking about the whole plan going forward. And when you then put into affect quantum computers and algorithms to effective game theory here, this is really, I think, why we see the timing of everything being so impeccably perfect.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I'd be curious what TN and Drunken Pinata have to say in that vein.
It's got to be pretty well thought out, as detailed and as serious as all this is. It's amazing to I just want to see the flow chart for that.
Yeah, it probably
You
looks
mean
like
you want to see the plan?
just the flow chart.
Just the flow chart, not the whole plan.
Yeah, it probably is akin to like a plate of vermicelli or spaghetti. I mean, it's everywhere, right? And so the point is, this is not a static, like, okay, we break the plan, we open it up. Game theory all the way. And it goes back to, in huge variables, right, or unknown variables. And one of those key unknown variables was Robert Mueller. And, this was back and forth, leverage. If you remember, I don't know, a month or so back, whenever it was, I think it was on over a weekend, a Sunday, and they just peppered. It was a litany of the Rachel Chandler posts and stuff like that. That was all not just by happenstance because someone on the Q team. I mean, it was all in concert and by specific design to affect a certain outcome. and they were able to render that. But we're in an interesting time right now, and that just goes to show you that this whole thing that we're dealing with is so fluid. It is absolutely a fluid situation, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's just so hard when it seems to be where we're just so anxious for stuff to really go forward, being that the information that we already know. But there's so many millions out there who still have no idea. So when they see one of these hearings with Barr out there, or they see one of these hearings with these other Democrats there, you can see how easily they can be brainwashed, from following the truth.
Yeah, and that's where we come in. We have to be doing what we're doing, and in each taking it upon ourselves to being at the focal point of, red pilling people, however we do that. And I'll give you a quick example. So I got a notification that it wasn't Tom Fitton, was a young guy on Judicial Watch who was interviewing, was it John Solomon, right? And it was great. I go on there. This was on Periscope, by the way. Sorry. I go on there, and there's this shill named Cynthia. And I kid you not, I'm multitasking. I must have put, I'm very serious about this, 50 plus, Cynthia's a shill. Cynthia's a shill, and then just modifying it, shill is a Cynthia. And everyone in concert was doing that and shutting that down. And I said, we love Cynthia, but she's still a shill, and she even laughed. But the thing is, these people that are going in by design and trying to suck all the oxygen out of the room, whatever platform it is, it's done. We need to be stepping up and shutting that down. Not in a vicious way, but in a consistently professional way, professional persistency, and just keep shutting it down.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I could go in from my background. I could go into the pep talk style of motivation that we definitely need consistently, and sometimes I think we don't do it enough in terms of where we are, and we're bringing new eyes not just to this channel but to the for lack of a better term, the movement or whatever. But people are becoming awake all over the world day by day. I mean, look at what's happening. And so, yeah, I agree with you, Clarion. We definitely need to put the shift down, the clutch through, and go into third gear here now. And especially now that we have on this platform and the channel here, we've got more and more eyes coming to us, and more bigger and knowledgeable people that are coming on for interviews and things like that. We're going to see the steamroll start to roll, and then you really just start to run with it, I think, here in the next while, next few weeks, months, etc. This summer is going to be awesome, I think, for this channel.
I'm a little bit wary about what's going on, what's going to be happening in the next month. Clay, I've shared privately some DMs with you about just how deep my living situation is, as far as having two completely different mindsets. I mean, for those listening out there in the chat, just imagine the most two polar opposites. I mean, it's Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump living in a house together. It's absolutely insane. And it's, if you have anybody that's around you, you can talk to about this stuff, just cherish that, please, because I hope I'm not in the majority of this is what's happening to people out there. So,
are you in the political odd couple?
Oh yeah. So deep you don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, that's why this is such a drunken piano. It's such a truly a blessing to have this forum that we have, because it is just on a base level, it is so frustrating, right? When you talk to people that don't get it, but we got to throttle it back and take the emotion out as best we can. And it's not easy, believe me. I know. And then I think that's really kind of what's happening right now is everything that's happening with Q is a non-emotional. They're letting things come out, drip in a systematic way. It's still overlaid with game theory. But as a compare and contrast then to the deep state and the progressives, they're losing it. I mean, aren't they? They're just losing it.
You are.
Yeah,
the more
my suggestion.
That thought, if I don't mind. Sorry. Yeah, just to complete that thought, and then I'll be quiet for a little while. What I was getting at is that I understand because of that living situation. It took me a while to accept that slow drip plan, but the more I understood how it was going to affect my own life, like how is this going to affect someone that I love? And I came to appreciate the way that things are being laid out more and more, because I know that if it would have been, blitzkrieg kind of action, that obviously no one would have accepted any part of this. But the fact that almost all of the demise, all of the direction of the demise is coming out of the Democrat Party itself is very, very helpful. So I think this kind of letting them paint themselves into a corner, into oblivion, is definitely the best way to go. I think that we're not too far away from major things being released. I think it'll take a lot more time for things to be finally absorbed. I mean, think of how long we've known about all the Spygate stuff, about all of the things that from even the first time Dem and Nunez ran across to the White House, and they made a big deal about that. So think about how long that took, and now it's complete, and they can't ignore it. That's kind of how the way this pace is going to go, and it's going to be up to us. We're going to have to make sure that we extend this to 8 years. I mean, I hate to have to say that, but if nothing else, we need at least as much that time. Even if they decided to completely release everything and everything's out in the open, we still need at least that much time to repair things before they can try to do damage control.
I agree. It's going to take a lot to right this big old battleship.
Here's a question there for you, Duncan Pinata. Is it purely a Trump derangement syndrome thing? Like is it a I hate Trump purely, or is it what what Trump has been able to accomplish or is getting accomplished that seems to be the trigger point?
Probably more just TDS. I think that,
right.
Because we pretty much share all of the same social values. Like, I really don't care. Gay people can do whatever the hell they want to do. I really don't care. Like things things like that, where in our own lives, the people that we know, the people that are involved in our social circle, I don't care what any of these people are doing. That's fine. Or yes, we should take care of people who legitimately cannot take care of themselves. Fine. But, I also understand as a head of a household how to budget, and that there's literally things that you can and cannot do. And if you try to play things out long term, you have to have a certain set of rules that will just not drive everything completely into the ground. So it's you have to have a very heavy hands in terms of making some of the decisions as far as how things will be, distributed. So I think I'm definitely a true independent. I think I'm very fiscally conservative and probably socially I don't even know what's the other. It's not conservative. It's not even Democrat. What's the other one? Libertarian, I guess.
Right.
They're libertarian, socially liberal, fiscally conservative. Right.
Well, hey, Drunken Piata, I have a question for you. So there's a mathematical maxim called transitive property. Okay, so if A equals B and B equals C, A equals C. So where I'm going with this is if I'm out at dinner or something, I'll take the salt and pepper shaker and a couple other items, and I'll say, okay, so we have 14 million that was transferred, and I say, hey, listen, this is incontrovertible fact. Okay, no one's even arguing this. $14 million transferred from HRC to the DNC, to the DNC's law firm Perkins Coie, to Fusion GPS to Christopher Steele, former MI5 British agent who produced in all grandeur the Inglorious dossier. And then that comes back and is used as the basis for the FISA and as the basis for the spying and on the basis for the Mueller report. And so I just say that, I mean, just logically, because people have a hard time defending their emotional position if you lay it out just logically. I mean, and that's, I think, part of the Q plan is that this stuff is now logically been laid out, and it has been for quite some time, where the deep state media isn't even really arguing with that. Now we're arguing about, well, it was authorized spying. And that's what, if you bring it back to, well, what was the, what was the whole, what was the word that Attorney General Barr, what was the predicate for it? Yeah. But I just this is so, if you lay it all out, I just would find it hard to believe someone would say, well, wait a minute. Okay, first of all, that's all true. Yeah, that doesn't seem like should happen in a democracy or a constitutional republic. And now we're talking impeachment based on all of that fraud.
I'm not sure if Junkin Pinata's there or not, but
yeah, I'm still there.
Are you there? Yeah. So Clarion was pondering that question to you if you had a response. I definitely had something to add to it as well at the end.
Sorry, what was the final question?
Well, the final question was, if you laid it all out there, if A equals B, B equals C, and none of that, all of that is fact. It's incontrovertible fact that $14 million.
Right. Okay. I get you. Yeah. So I think that in my particular situation, there's still so much character assassination residue in there that it's like the xenophobic, racist, homophobic. It's like that's the only thing that she can't even have a conversation. Yeah. I can't even talk about anything. It is literally she throws up a safety word. There's literally zero conversation. She can't. I've said, look, tell me how I'm wrong, and she can't even do that.
Orange man bad.
Yeah,
you know what?
If I can reply, what you have there, as we're saying, is the and trust me, up here in Canada, it's not even just people close to me. It's everyone. The majority of people here have, for lack of a better term, Trump derangement syndrome. And that is what you're saying, Clarion, is completely true. You lay it out, the fact is right there, but that's not to someone that has this far of an angst against Trump himself. And it's nothing against now what he's doing. Part of the problem with some people is that President Trump or Donald Trump is an alpha male. And in some respects, he's an alpha male, if there's a better term for that. He's someone that would push in front of people to get in front of the group there, so people know I'm the alpha here in this group, for an example, right? Some people can't handle that amount of confidence. So when it comes to energy and vibration and stuff, their personalities right away, they clash. And then part of President Trump's ability in his articulate way of speaking some ways, and sometimes it's speaking with the people. Some people think it's very, they can't handle his crass, if that's another term or word I could use. And so it's these little things that have gotten to them in a way that has nothing now to do with what he's doing worldwide. In fact, he's making peace he made peace in North Korea, and all these other facts that we could bring out. None of that stuff. It all just has to now do with a clash of personalities, in a sense of not being able to understand that in other individual and find a common thing. And at this point, in my experience, I think the best thing to do is to continue to just be quiet about that one subject and go along as much as you can, go along regular thing until the full, message and truth has come out about, and these other people are put behind bars or facing justice or get more, whatever that end up outcome may be. Because otherwise, nothing that you bring up will go past that conditional bias that they have about that bravado that President Trump has, right? And I'm telling you, I mean, that's why when Justin Trudeau gets standing up beside President Trump, he almost probably has to, squeeze his bum. He says he might pee his pants because of that confidence level that he has compared to the fakeness that he has to come forward with. If that's another example. So sorry to rant about that, but what do you guys think about what I said?
I think it's like dominoes falling. You know how you can take a little domino and it can knock over one and a half times as big as it is, or so on, and they get bigger. Each person has a different perspective in their size of domino, into actually seeing the reality of what's happened is different. Now, some of us have already saw it a year ago when we figured out Q was real, and that was one of the smaller dominoes. But as they get bigger, they become undeniable towards the end.
If I may try a different aspect, and Pinata, not from advice or anything like that, but just as a thought, have you considered that she's already recognized that you're right, and that's just a wall to prevent from the self-recognition of being wrong, in her, in that aspect of it, that comes what Coach Clay said is understandable as some factor of the people portion of them. I also think that there are some right now, like the media, they're so invested in the wall that has been put up and the dislike or the disdain, for lack of a better word, and they recognize the facts, but it's not that the facts can't get through. It's that they don't want the facts to come through because they know the facts are there, and therefore put up a wall. And you're the one that's constantly, not to blame it on you or anything like that, it's the constant reminder that of being wrong. Does that make sense? At least in what I'm saying, not necessarily that you agree with it.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yep. Did you ever apply there, Justin?
I don't know if you heard me.
Sorry,
Because
I had a run in. My son's been running in and out of the room. So this.
He might be in and out of his location.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry.
He's got
little ones.
child interruptus.
Yeah.
All right. Here, let me get this out real quick because I think this might be it for me. So hang on one sec. All right. So essentially, even myself, I've had to get over my own issues with Trump, whatever character flaws he might have with the multiple marriages, whatever. I mean, even Trump University was a little bit hard for me to get over at the time when the election was going on. So I think because I've always been a little bit more into conspiracy and understanding before Q came along what was really going on, didn't have an understanding of how far back it went. I knew that some of the events of, like, for 9/11, for example, went back 30 years. I mean, I understood how far back things kind of went, but I didn't understand how far back everything really went until Q came along. So because of that, and I know that they had to use somebody to get into the office. They had to use somebody. But I do understand, and I do realize the fact that he has and is genuinely, truly a good person at heart and wants to do the right thing for the country. And I understand that. So I think I may have become used to all of the character attacks that the MSM usually throws out, which is what generally is what my wife throws back at me. So because of those, because I'm kind of desensitized to that, because I understand of the greater good and the fact that I understand where he's coming from, and that no man is or woman has no flaws, obviously. So I'm in a better position to receive this information that's going on, but she just has been continually barraged by this attack of character. So I think that's kind of the hardest thing that I think that they have yet to overcome is the TDS part. If they can somehow overcome that, I think that that will be the best thing. And I do think that the more that they release, the more they understand that the people around them have been lying to them, the more that they will see that, what's really going on is not some dictator. And I challenge any of the people all the time and Twitter debate that name one thing in your daily life that has actually changed since Trump has been in office.
Right. You need to get a class action suit against the media for all the people that are having to argue.
Oh, I'm sure. I think about all the because I know, well, because my wife is the same way. She the next day calling psychiatrists and calling therapists. I mean, think about the industry that has been set up.
Ironically, it falls right into lockstep with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, we wish the best for you, though, buddy. Hang in there.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I am. I'm in that I think I've become, because I have been around and had really, I've been, the first time I really, really realized there was something going on was probably 2006. And even then I still voted for Obama twice. I voted for Bush twice. I mean, it runs deep.
It was voting for the lesser of the evils that you thought, right?
At the time, yeah. So, I mean, even when I thought that I understood, or it came to the realization that 9/11 wasn't what they had said, it still took about another 5-6 years to really understand and research, and then understand, okay, there was some misinformation that was in the research community, and having to really go through it, a lot of that, more of the fantastical stuff, I just as a mechanical engineer, I'm just like, I can't, because I knew too much about the science to really understand or really try to adopt any of that. So, but when I really understood how all of it was possible, it just, that was 5 years ago from now. So to understand that it's been at least 13 years that I've had to absorb this, I can understand why my wife in particular is rejecting it. I understand that completely, and that again feeds into why I understand it has to be a slow process.
All our track records suck. Either side we pick, they're all the wrong choice until now.
Well, I'll leave you guys for a little bit. I'll just go on mute for a little bit and just listen.
Sounds good. And do we still got Clearing? Are you still with us as well?
Yeah, I'm here. I really like Drunken Pinata. He brings a lot to the table, and everyone does. And I70, the way that you framed it a few minutes ago, is spot on. So I would say this, and this is my common refrain now, is do not take your foot off the gas. It's pedal to the metal. It's full throttle. And here's my response is that even if you're dealing with someone that seems like a impossible, to get across, is that you're basically planting seeds, because they will make the synoptic connection. It may not be right now, but you're planting seeds, and don't back down. Obviously, you don't want to fracture a relationship, but don't back down in your position, but continue to be steadfast in planting these seeds and drawing it back to logic. Like I said before, A equals B, B equals C. I mean, my gosh, we have all that laid out. And I totally get that President Trump can perhaps be off-putting. But the thing is that the messaging, and we have truth on our side, that is so powerful. That's how we're in this predicament, is because we along the way collectively ceded control over to the mainstream media, and they have just run with this and they have been manipulated, and they manipulated us. And it is just, their message now has been implanted in people. And, that's where you have the Trump derangement syndrome. So we do have our work cut out for us, but it is something. But messaging, continually messaging, and we have truth on our side. Do not take your foot off the gas.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
In fact, what you should do is bring the car in and actually get a nitro kit put on it. And then when you put your Trump on it, you're going to even get more juice out of it. So I don't think we need to be kind of, milk toast about anything. We just need to be putting our foot to the pedal. And like I pointed out, if anyone is on, we got thousands of people that are on social media. Don't let these people get away with basically sucking the air out of the room and injecting all their shillery. Go in and just call them out on it and be incessant and shut them down.
Yep. Hey, Tennessee, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to go into the watch decode for the last 45 minutes or so?
Sure.
You don't have to fill it all up, but go ahead and start. I just wanted to make sure you had time to get into that.
Yeah, if ever, that's up to you guys. Yeah, I got the time.
Go for it. You can grab the screen share and do what you got to do.
Okay.
Bring it on, Ian.
Alrighty. Okay, so I did this. Let me bring up the share here. Yeah, if ever, yesterday. It's up to you guys. Yeah, I got the time. A little bit here.
Go for it. You can grab the screen share and do what you got to do.
Okay.
Bring it on, Ian.
Alrighty. Sorry? Okay, so I did this. Let me. Can you guys hear me okay? Bring up the share here.
Yeah, we can now.
Yeah, if ever, yesterday. It's up to you guys. Yeah, I got a little bit here.
Go for it. You can grab the screen share and do what you got to do.
Okay.
Bring it on, Ian.
Alrighty. Sorry? Okay, so I did this. Let me. I don't hear anything. Can you guys hear me okay? Bring up the share here.
Yeah.
Your thing is.
Yeah, we can now.
Yeah, if ever, yesterday. It's up to you guys. Yeah, I got a little bit here.
Go for it. You can grab the screen share and do what you got to do.
All right, we better get a hold of this before it starts looping to.
No, it's not. I know what it is.
Oh my God, I don't know what just happened, but that tripped me out.
Yeah, I thought I was tripping out.
I did too. I was like, flashback.
Yeah, I know what it is. I just. Yeah,
I'll fire that technician there.
I love that. I love hearing that. Hold on a second. Okay, here's just as a little hint. Here's what happens. I muted my speakers, but I did not mute the YouTube stream. So when I went to do the share and I turned on for full the computer audio, even though my speakers were turned off, the audio was still going through the computer. So what was happening, it sounded like a loop because it was the latent YouTube pickup coming out of the computer. Get it?
That's okay.
Yeah.
We normally have some tech issues here in our show. We're always working with new technicians and firing other ones.
Yeah, most of them aren't as cool as that one, but go ahead.
No, but this one I keep forgetting when I come on, I monitor the stream by muting my speakers. But that doesn't mute the computer; it mutes the speakers.
Yeah, I always mute the live stream, but
yeah, that's what I did wrong. Okay.
Dean Macdonald out in live chat says Twilight Zone meets Outer Limits.
There you go.
That was.
Hey, where else are you going to get this kind of treatment? Come on.
All right, all yours, Tennessee.
Yep. Let me bring it up here again. Okay, where am I?
Who was that out in live chat that said that I70 looked like he was
in outer space? That was funny.
That was the satellite relay that just blew up. All right, so I call this one the when is a week not a week, when it's a queek, of course. So let me start off with an aspect of when the watches arrived, particularly the last pair, it bugged me that we got the 3231 and then the 3232, which had the inset of 31 within. And the only difference was in this one, Q is answering an anon. Well, so if everything has meaning, and everything posted has a purpose, those are Q statements, then why create 3231 and nearly immediately inset it into 3232? And when I say nearly, it's only 4 minutes and 53 seconds apart.
Right.
So, so then I brought in 3230, which is the preceding Q drop. And so then I went through my normal routine to saying, what are the Q drop numbers? Which when you do the math on those guys, you get 8, 9, and 10, which is understandable since it's ascending sequentially. But when you look at the Q drop hints, which is the words that are used, it says 0, shall we play a game? Then the anon answers, ready, sir. Then it's marker 1, marker 2. Right? So this was a conversation. All right. So then let's look at 3232, and we'll bring in these guys here for grins. Hold on a second. I think, yeah. So in doing that, I looked at this. When you do the delta between the two, this is not going to be the proper order. I'm working on the deck to refine it, to add more content. So I apologize. This is going to be a little bit out of order, I think, at the moment.
No problem.
So look at when you do the delta, which you can see here, right? 453.
Yep.
When you do the number on the delta, you end up with 453 or 48, or if you do the numbers adds, you get a 3.
Right.
Right? 4, 8 equals 12. Now watch this. What's a ship's bell time? You end up with the watches on which is basically the security layer on the ship, right? And these are the watches of the ship.
Right. Okay.
And when you translate that into the table, you end up with 8 bells is four sets of 2. Ding, 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 etc. Right? And
Right.
that's struck at 4, 8, and 12.
4, 8, and 12. Okay.
Okay. So you got that. Now let's look at the delta again. 4,
Yep.
3, 453, 453 on the watch.
Okay.
You see that?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay. So let's look at the drop times. So I'm not going to go through the math. It's simple math. Basically, on straight up addition, you end up with a 977. If you reduce it to the lowest number, the deltas, which some of them we went through before, here's the 453 again.
Right.
And you end up with 7, 8. Then you do the file markers. I'm looking for a pattern. I'm looking for a confirmation that is coming up. So that's the file markers. Then there's the 4, 8. And why did I isolate that? 4, 8, double the 4, it gives you an 8, 2 9s. That stood out at me. So that kept me going. And the file name that was skipped was 2728. Goes from 2727 to 2729. Why did he skip that number?
I see. Okay.
Right? It creates a gap, correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay. So I put the file numbers into a table, and I included the gap. So when you reduce it, you get the sequence, 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 and it's understandable because it's numerically ascending by one.
Right.
You're going to end up a sequence, but then the sequence is broken. Yet, interesting enough, 9 and then 1 and 2, which are the markers, even though it's the missing one. But when you do it in the sequence of the numbers, you get 7, 8, 9, the 8. Okay, now watch. By doing the watch faces, the time markers, which is the time on the watch, they have the same fingerprint. Marker 1, marker 2 has the same fingerprint. 2, 8, 5, 2, 2, 8, 5, 2.
Okay.
Even though they're different times.
Right.
Okay. This one is done including the second hand, the chronograph second, this little guy here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And some people have stated, well, that's the elapsed time, which is it is. It's elapsed time second. So this is the actual time second hand. You shouldn't be counting this second hand. I've seen comments of that nature. So I went ahead and did it without it. You can see that with the 30 here and without the 30 here. You end up with 8, right? Or 2. Still the same fingerprint. Guess what the fingerprint adds up to? 8. What's my missing number? 8. The marker deltas, 19 to the 27. 19 to the 27 on the watch is 8. This is what I was trying to confirm. 192 hours. When you do the math on those guys, you end up with 2, 9, and 4 down at the lowest level. But notice here is 470, 670. You end up with a missing 8.
Right.
So now I put it all into a table form and identify that of all the forms of adding the numbers, you end up with the drop number includes the 8. The drop time does not. The drop file name, the time delta includes it. The file name does not. This one includes it 3 times. This one includes it 1 time. 6. The other item, the other number that repeats 6 times in the entire string is a 2. 6 and 2 is 8.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm following you.
So why is all this important? So let's bring it together here. That's the table. It's an 8-day interval. So what I've referred to so far is that the date in one watch to the date on the other watch is 8 days. Every other bit of math was to confirm that that was an accurate use of that. Why? Well, when you put the dates in an order and create a calendar, so to speak, you get these intervals, these 8-day intervals. When you do that, the weekdays, or the day of the week, the first one and only the first one starts on a Friday, ends on a Saturday. Thereafter, it's same day of the week.
Okay.
Until the end. Why this number? When you put them in alpha order, week A through Z, or rather interval A through Z, interval 1 through 26. So then I started saying, is this a calendar? So I thought, okay, let's plot some things that we know for a fact. Q drop number 1, 1028. You see that?
Yep.
Okay. July 4th, celebrations in Washington, D.C. It falls in that week on this interval. This one ends on that interval.
Okay.
The first interval starts on a Friday, ends on a Saturday. The first Q drop ends on a Saturday. The July interval is on a Friday.
Okay.
So, but it's actually July 4th is on a Thursday, but the invitation, and that's the Friday weekend there. So then I went to, okay, if this is the first Q drop, what's the last Q, the most current Q drop, which is this one on 5/2, 3331. And everybody made different interpretations of the Karate Kid video, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, look at Karate Kid. T, week 20. K, week 11. So 20, 11, 11, reduce, 2, 2, 2, B, B, B. Remember Q drop 2903, which was the countdown?
Yeah.
What did it say? Within the next 21 days, something big, big, big.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of like a hint to me. From my point of view, it was a hint. So then I looked at this one, May 2019, kickoff start offense. Those are football terms, right?
Right.
Okay. When can you have a kickoff and the start in an offense? There's only 3 times you can do that in a football game. The first time is at the kickoff, the start of the game, the first half. The winner of the coin toss chooses to kick or receive.
Right.
To be on offense, you must receive.
That's right.
Have we done that?
Yep.
In the game that we're playing, have we received, or has there been or have they kicked?
We have been on defense.
Exactly.
So
They are on offense, right?
right now it just switched.
Right. That doesn't apply then. The other potential is the second half of the game, which is the original kicker now is a receiver. Correct?
That's right.
Correct.
Or the third option is some points have been scored and now there's a kickoff, and the previously defending team now is on offense, receives the ball and goes on offense. That's not applicable because there's been no scoring.
Right.
Okay, so we're left with that one, right? Second half. Correct?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. The first Q drop was October 10th. The 28th, but the month of October, that's the 10th month. That's the second anniversary on 2019. You take that and it says you kick off the start of the second half would be the 5th month, May 2019.
Right.
Bill Barr on May 1st, B2 interval, starts the second half on offense.
Yeah, when I was watching you earlier on this, TN, when you said the B2, I never thought it'd be Bill Barr, but it could be, right?
Bill Barr and the B2 stealth bomber.
Well, B2, think of B2, Bill Barr, BB, 2
Right.
Bs.
Right. And B2 stealth bomber.
Yep.
And B2 is the interval here. And he testified in the Senate on 5-1 and gave the heave-ho to the House on 5-2. Okay, so that's going on offense. So now, look at this. This is QMAP, Patriots, this is from the HAN, Patriots Fight Board, which is the Q's private board. And the very first drop on that is on ready. Let's go back to the drop hints. Shall we play a game? Ready, sir. On ready. Marker 1, marker 2. In football, ready, set, hike is the offensive sequence.
Right.
So let's add that to that. So that's something. But is that enough? So then I looked at it from saying, well, what if it's a different interval and it's May instead of April on the watches, May 17th through May 19th through the 27th. It doesn't line up. It starts falling apart. So
Right.
that said to me, that's not a proper interpretation. So I went back to the other one. So listen, now watch this. And Radix played a little bit of this today, but it played it in a little different order. In 33:17 we received, which Q said go watch this video at 11 minutes into at 11 minutes into the video. Listen very carefully to the statements Joe D makes, right?
Yep.
Okay. Notice his use of Joe D. Is that how Joe DeGenova spells his name?
No.
Right. But, okay. That's important. All right. Oh, beg your pardon. Bit too early. Okay.
The problem for Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Baker and all of them now is that the FISA court has already communicated with the Justice Department about its findings. And their findings are that for more than 4 years before the election of Donald Trump, there was an illegal spying operation going on by FBI contractors, 4 of them, to steal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Geneva just said 4 of them at 2212. Do you follow what I'm doing?
Yep.
10:12 p.m. is when he said it. 2212 is just the 24-hour version, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go on.
Personal information, electronic information about Americans, and to use it against the Republican Party. There are going to be indictments. There's going to be grand juries. John Brennan isn't going to need 1 lawyer. He's going to need 5.
Joe, Rudy just mentioned that your personal knowledge and experience with the FISA court is legendary. We know that. Why does this matter to the average American sitting at home with a bowl of popcorn and a soft drink? Why does it matter to them what happens in this entire investigation?
Because it's about the rule of law and privacy. The Obama administration, for more than 4 years before the 2016 election, allowed 4 contractors working for the FBI to illegally surveil American citizens illegally. The FISA court has already found that. By the way, Robert Ray mentioned that there is the Horowitz report coming out in May or possibly early June. There's another report that everybody has forgotten about involving James Comey alone.
Okay. What did he just say?
Another report everybody's forgotten about involving James Comey.
So everybody's been focusing on the 4 contractors. Look at the time he said that. The IG report on 2216 and James Comey at what time?
10:17.
Q time?
Yeah.
And you can see that 17 after the hour.
Right.
Okay.
But
Now,
what do it mean?
what does it mean?
Yeah,
Okay, hold on.
it's getting good.
Q doesn't tell you what it means, does he ever?
No.
Okay. You have to deduce it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's finish this off.
That will be out in 2 weeks. That report is going to be a bombshell. It's going to open up the investigation on a very high note, and there will be criminal referrals in it. The FISA court abuse is the center of this entire abuse of governmental power.
Okay. What is the representation of the FISA court abuse? What would do it? What is the epitome of the FISA court abuse? How was the FISA court abused?
Well, they weren't given the proper information to make a decision.
Correct. How would that improper information be shared? How would we know what that information was?
Oh, you mean like if it was leaked?
No, D class.
Oh, right. Yes, sorry.
That's how we know. How we would be exposed to that information is D class, correct?
Right.
Yep.
Okay. And the OIG report would then give us the malfeasance that they used to create the lie to the fisc. So the D class shows us the lie, although we know it's a lie, but generally speaking, it's just exposing what they used. The IG report gives us how they created the lie. The James Comey report, my guess is, shows us how they concocted the conspiracy to manage the lie.
Right.
Okay. Oop.
Hey, and TN.
Yeah.
Is Claire.
Yeah, Claire.
As Q recently posted, C comes before D.
Don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead.
Awesome.
Yep.
And the chief judge of that court has already ruled that the FBI broke the law, and that the people at the head of the Justice Department, Sally Yates, John Carlin, the Assistant Attorney General for the National Security.
Okay, notice the names he used, right? James Comey, John Carlin.
All knew about it and lied to the court, the FISA court, about it.
Joe,
now,
very quick.
Pay attention to what Huckabee says here. And specifically, this is subtle, but he specifically knows, has been communicated, coordinated, that the Geneva has a message.
If you've got a word you want to
There's
add.
a hero in this entire story, and it's not a lawyer. All the bad people in this story are lawyers. There's a hero. His name is Admiral Mike Rogers.
What time did he
was
say
the
that?
head of the National Security Agency. He discovered the illegal spying.
At 2219.
Okay.
It showed here on the. It
Right.
didn't show it up here. It showed it down here in Mountain Time or in Central Time. See it?
Yep.
9:19 Central. That's in essence 22:19 Eastern.
Right.
All right. Now, why am I bringing all this up? It's important, and now there's a reason for it. But you have to listen to this to understand the rest of the decode, if you may. Okay, so.
As the head of the National Security Agency, he discovered the illegal spying. He went personally to the FISA court and briefed the chief judge and worked with her for months to uncover the people who did it. The FISA court has already been told and has already told the Justice Department who lied to that court, and that has been given to Bill Barr already.
Very powerful.
Now, to listen to this part of it, it's reaffirming what we had in the Geneva. I won't play the rest of it. The Geneva says that he's 100% sure that there'll be criminal indictments, and many of them. So let's recap here for a minute. Let me go to the end here.
Anytime.
All right. So let's recap. The show airs live at 10 to 11, 2200 to 2300 hours. The video runs till the end of the block, which is approximately 2220, right? Because the last comment was at 2219, and it takes a little longer to finish off that block. By the block, meaning the segment on the show, right?
Right.
The Q drop was at 10:41:21 p.m. or at 22:41:21 seconds. Q indicates to start watching the video at 11 into it, at 22:11 actual. But the critical points of being stated are at 22:12, at 22:16, 17, and 19. And there's something interesting about 22:16. He actually says the four contractors twice. He says it here, and he says it here.
Right.
Okay. So let me put my laser pointer back on. So let's analyze. 33:17. So within 20 minutes and 21 seconds from the end of the block to the Q drop, the stream was captured, the video was rendered and created, it was uploaded to YouTube, Q finds it, obtains the link, and creates the drop in the 8chan.
Right.
Not coordinated.
Well,
So-
and the timing's picked out of it as well, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So who created the video?
Right.
Nobody focused on that. Well, so I went back to instead of the inthematrix.com posts, I used this one, QMAP, for a specific reason. Let's play the video. Oops. It's no longer available.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So let's go to the history. Who created the video? Mr. Sean Hannity on his channel,
Right.
which you can only get to via Sean Hannity Live related channels, and that channel has no content. So it's interesting that specifically worded by DeGeneva, questioned by Huckabee, which is another Trump supporter, captured and published on a Sean Hannity alternate channel, not under Fox, and no longer available. By the way, it's not no longer available now. It was no longer available 2 days or so after the drop.
Right.
Okay. So let's go on. Let's drop again. Let's look at everything that mentions Joe DeGeneva on that time. So Q says here in 3321, good find anons. What anons? This is not a reply to anybody. This is an image of QMAP that he put into the drop. There's no anon to talk to here. So why do that? That's a heads up. That's an eye catcher.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's remember what DeGeneva said. Right, for contractors, et cetera, at these other times, and because these are repeating, I dropped it down to the last digit. Follow?
Yep.
Okay. So let's do the math on the remainder. The Q3317, the time of that guy reduces to 453. What was the delta between the watches? 453.
Right.
Okay. Let's continue on with the math on these guys. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's do the deltas. Now, these are not the ones we were looking at earlier. These are this suite of Q drops.
Right.
Caught my eye, and these guys are the similarity between this number and that number. Right? It's like the mirror here and 10 digits off here, or actually less than that, but it's just the juxtaposition of the numbers. So I thought, okay, but this one starts with 8, this one ends with 8. So when you look at this guy here, you end up with an 8. When you look at this guy here, you end up with an 8.
Right.
When you look at the delta between these two, you end up with 8/5, 8 May. Why did I say 8th of May? Because on QMAP, the format is day, month.
Right. Okay.
And the other ones is month, day.
Right.
Okay. So 2321 brings up this Q post, which is Hoover. Who does the IG refer criminal referrals to?
Hoover.
Hoover. He's the prosecutor in charge. Then it rolls up to the attorney general. But Hoover's on point. Hoover was appointed by Sessions.
And what is his designation? Sorry?
He's a deputy attorney general, and he's a prosecuting.
Right. Okay.
So now let's look at this recap. Q instructs us to start watching at 11, to pay attention at 11 minutes. 1 and 1 is 2. Joe D states 12 minutes in, 1, 2. Joe D states it twice, 2. Once at 12 minutes, then one at 16 minutes. So now you have the 2. Because what I caught my eye is, why is this out of sequence? Why is there a 6, 7? Oop, there's a number missing there.
Right.
So let's put that out there. You got the 6, you got the 7 and the 9. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
It had these this is the time he said it. These are the Q drops.
Right.
Okay. What's missing? The 8.
2, 4. Right, 8, yeah.
So
Okay.
6, 7, 8, 9. So the combination of the math on the drops and the deltas gives you the complete sequence of 7, 8, 9, and again the 8. All relating to what Joe DeGenova said. All right. So let's look at this. What did this Q drop have in it? 643, which we saw here, is a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Inside is the file name is D4. Inside there's the 4 here, but more importantly, out here, 4 contractors in a kill box. Why the kill box? And then he says Joe D again with a capital D, but his name is lowercase di. Why not Joe DI when he's talking about Joe D. Genova?
Right.
Why the D?
Because it's the 4th letter in the alphabet.
Because it's the 4th interval in their countdown. Now, here I apologize because this is what I was working on that I hadn't finished the animation. So I'm just going to cut through and go to the animations. 3124 says, first, let's do the math on that. That reduces to 10. Let's look at 3232, the watch where we started at. That reduces to 10. What's in this one? It says the watch, the face of a watch and a clock has multiple versions. How many versions of the watch do we get? 4. These are the Q drops. How many images of the watches do we get? 6. The last one being the 231, the 31 and 232. How many ship watches are there? 6. The last one is dog 1, dog 2. Marker 1, marker 2.
Okay.
Looking at the description, it says the 4 hours on, 4 hours off, and that's how they rotated. 4 plus 8 is 12 is what we saw before, and the four bells. But look at Joe DeGenova says there's a hero in this entire story. Joe DeGenova at 2219. Admiral Rogers, S. Rogers, is Q drop 3319. Q tells us to watch the video starting at 11. 2219 plus 11 gives you 3319. Who is Q? Anchors away, my boys. Anchors away. What is he? An admiral in what?
Right.
Okay, so let's put it into context. So we bring these guys in. Joe DeGenova said in 2 weeks with James Comey. 2 weeks puts it into this week. C3.
Right.
If we bring in this earlier drop where 3126 reduces to a 3, Q says A, B, C, D, all the way through M, but puts a kill box around the C.
Right.
C3. C3. DeGenova says D4. D4. Now, this is where I start projecting forward. 2681, which is our outline of what's going to happen, right?
Right.
Okay, that reduces to a 17. Look at in here. I'll bring it. If we do the math on these guys, it comes down to you sum up those digits, you divide by the first number in the sequence to 30. 225 divided by 30 gives you 7.5. The day after 4th of July. Okay.
Okay.
Let's look at this guy here. And I'll bring it and then I'll zoom in. Oop. All right. In this string says, notice that Q says D's, D's, D's for Democrats, right?
Right.
Does he use D's here?
No, just D.
Okay. Spill plus 30. Spill 418. Why 418? What occurred on 418? The Mueller report came out.
Okay.
Plus 30 days is 518.
Right.
D, sky falling, push to public. D. D4.
Mm-hmm.
D class.
Right.
So now let's look at this.
Is there a timeline on when the public will see these Russia records declassified?
Yes, I'm going to be allowing declassification pretty soon. I didn't want to do it originally because I wanted to wait, because I know what I've seen the way they play. They play very dirty. So I decided to do it, and I'm going to be doing it very soon, far more than you would have even thought.
May, June, July?
No, soon. Whenever they need it. Whenever they need it, I'll be doing it. But I will be declassifying, yes, everything.
What did POTUS tweet today?
Let's see here.
The midshipmen football team, the
right,
Black Knights football, at 4 p.m. on May 6th, he tweets a football 5-6 football May kickoff start offense.
Right.
That's it.
So as part of your thinking then is that the D class will be happening on, for example, on May 18th?
That's my projection. Yes. Not on May 18. I don't think it's specific dates. It's a range.
I see.
It's a range giving us the aspects of the potential back and forth, because even though it's a carefully outlined plan. Okay, in project management, you have the concept of free float time, right? And you have the critical path, which basically says what tasks must be completed in their proper order, in their proper time, in order to achieve your goal on the proper date.
Right.
Outside of that, you have tasks that can float and change, be completed earlier, be completed later, but do not have an impact to the overall project duration. What I think we have here is that we've been given kind of an outline and a context of time to apply that without the specificity of a date. It's a range, it's a window, it's an interval. It's going to happen within here. That's the decode. And that what was really interesting, there's a few more things that we can get into from a perspective of the 50-yard line being the 5th of May, the midfield aspect of things in the football analogy. You have that perspective coming into play. But overall, what this kind of laid out to me, and now then I also use this to translate them onto coordinates, which is yet another layer of messaging. Earlier I did one that on 3232 that gives us the Null Island coordinate. Well, I took that a little further by taking all the watches in that respect, and believe it or not, from Null Island, it projects clearly a direct line up to London, England. What is the fear of the UK related to D-Class? They're implicated because they're the ones that did the external spying.
Yeah. And signed off on it, yeah.
Right. So that's another correlator to D-Class. I haven't brought that into it because I was still working on it when I70 asked me to join. So, and you guys got a kind of like a real early view of the yet to be finished. I mean, part of it I did the video, as I mentioned, but part of it, as you saw, some of the graphics were kind of still in progress in the animation. But I'm going to bring in the the Google Earth perspective to show the vectors generated from the coordinates of the watch by using the watch. In the past, I used the watch hands, particularly on the early 2647 and 2913. Not the watch hands, the bigger part, the pen vector applied to the watch face to derive the coordinates. This time, instead of doing that, I used the date and time by using the date as degrees and the time as minutes and seconds. And when you do that, you end up with specific points on Earth. And believe it or not, it ends up being Null Island to a point directly north of that, another point directly north of that, another point directly north of that, and a mirror that effectively creates an arrow pointing straight up to London, England. I could show you that if you wanted to on Google Earth. I haven't finished the plot. I mean, I finished the plotting. I just haven't done it into the graphic that put it into PowerPoint yet. But
you'll have to swing back on Wednesday evening.
Yeah,
show if you've got time.
If
just gotta come back. Darn it.
Yeah.
Looks like we're coming up to the top of the hour, unfortunately, here. But wow, the 2 hours have certainly gone by fast.
Sure.
Very interesting stuff there, TN, for sure, man.
Yeah, I think you're on it too, buddy.
I'm right in on that stuff. Once it's laid out like that, and you can follow along nice and easy, it's more simple to see the patterns that are there, and I think that they're on purpose.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think this is your magnus opus. And I also and I got to cut out to a meeting, but it's brilliant, and very timely. And I will say one thing. John Huber was actually resigned, and then he was sworn back in.
Right.
Why? Because he was under Hussein's administration, and he's sworn back in because he is absolutely a critical piece in this, because they are going to void out, as they say in Latin, void ab initio. They're going to void out Hussein's entire administration and his work.
Absolutely. You got it right.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Clarion, thanks for joining us. We got about 2 minutes, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. Thanks, Clarion. Come back anytime. And Drunken Pinata, any last words?
Just one question. TN,
Yes,
and a 20-second answer. I really don't use the reduction to single integers. What was the one thing that you found that helps with those sequencing?
There's a lower level pattern. I sometimes do the 2-digit lower, and then I take it one lower to see if there's a pattern. And oftentimes the pattern reflects itself on the optimum reduction, which is the single digit. The single digit always reduces to a sequence of effectively 1 through 9. So it limits the range, but it gives you an indicator of a pattern that you can then kick up to the 2-digit level to see if there's a repeating aspect there. It's a lot easier to plot it forward.
And also, I assume you're trying to find where the interrupting part of the pattern or the missing part of the sequence is.
In this particular case, the message was the missing sequence, because there was the indication of the 8 between the 19th day and the 27th day, but I had to determine whether that was just coincidental from a perspective. Can I use that as the primer to create the intervals from that point forward? And by using the gap, I saw the 8 coming up, and when I put it into the table, I saw the maximum number of uses was on the 8 and on the 2, and then it was on the 8 on the 2, the 8 minus 2, and then on the 2, both of them were used 6 times. That's 6 plus 2 equals 8.
All right, thank you.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks for joining us, and come back anytime.
Yeah, you guys are both welcome on back on Wednesday night show. If you've got time, come on in and have a good conversation with us. It was great to have you guys all on tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the invite. And we'll hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good. And thank you, live chat, for hanging out with us for 2 hours. Thank
Yeah.
you, Coach Clay.
You too, I70. Thanks for staying out there in the dark there, out wherever you are in that location you got.
Out here at Ground Zero on Lake Erie shore.